here's Tomlin, because now that they've crossed the bridge on changing quarterbacks, there's still a lot of angst and complaining from Steelers fans about the offensive coordinator, Matt Canty. Here's Tomlin from yesterday talking about the team's struggles and his own personal confidence, and he may be the only one in the Pittsburgh area who has confidence in their offensive coordinator, Matt Canty. Have a listen.
Largely, we were a disaster kind of in all three phases, and we have to own that, starting with myself, and I do. And equally as important, we got to build a plan in which to move forward. Like I also mentioned after the game, all things are on the table when you perform like that, and I wasn't just talking tongue in cheek. I mean it. I just think when you're up against it, man, you gotta really look at all components of what it is that you do. Not for the sake of changing, but for change for the better.
You talked about not shooting the hostage, but I mean, since Matt took over last year, the numbers have been lackluster and they've regressed even off of last year. I mean, what's your level of confidence in his ability to game plan and put you guys in the end zone?
I'm confident, but confidence means very little. It's what's on tape. And so we understand that. We understand the nature of your questioning. That's just where I'm at with it right now. I'm not changing for the sake of changing. I'm changing if I feel like it produces a better desired outcome in any area. And so we're looking at those things. We're open to those things, but not in an effort to quell the masses or anything of that nature.
Chris, you've experienced this before. Here's the problem. If you fire Matt Canty, who's the backup offensive coordinator,
right.
We talked about that before. When Jeff Tedford checked out in Tampa right before the start of the season, Josh McCown told me the story at the time of what a mess it was because you had a bunch of young assistants and there's nobody there to take over. It's just a mess at that point. But what can you really do if the team isn't winning? You're changing the tire on the moving car. You have a game coming up. You've got to get ready for that game. How in the world, short of a full-blown bye week, do you have any opportunity to make any meaningful changes on the fly? You're locked in. The train's rolling. You just have to get ready for the next game with what you have. That's how I look at it. I don't know what major changes. There aren't enough hours in the day to make major changes because you got Tom Brady and the Buccaneers coming to town in 4 days.
No, you're right. I mean, that's a major change, and I'm with you. I'm one that sits there and goes like, man, it's rare. Firing the offensive coordinator in the middle of the season is one that I'll put my hand up and go, I think that's probably the proper thing to do. Every now and then, I think the opportunity arises or the circumstances call for, well, it's so bad, there's no future here at all. I don't look at it that way here with Pittsburgh, though, and Canada as the OC. I don't totally, right? I know it's not perfect, but this is where, again, I will stick up for him to a degree here. At least on this side of the ball. It's hard, okay, to be a good offense in football with a crappy O-line. All right? A crappy O-line. And, again, pass protection-wise, I'm going to say it's below average, but not much below average. When it comes to run game blocking, they are sucky-ducky. They stink. They are definitely one of the worst run-blocking offensive lines in football. So there's never anything there that they're allowed to play that off of. And Matt Canty, again, I think is a guy that wants to run the ball. He wants to move the quarterback a little off of running the ball. But when you can't do that, it chops a big leg of your, systematic approach out from underneath you. So, he's not going to reinvent himself right now into something totally new. And instead of like you're talking about changing the tire on a moving car, I look at it as more as maybe we just got to change the hubcap here and change the philosophy of how we're playing on the offensive side of the ball and readjust. That would be my biggest thing, Mike. It's something I brought up a little last week, but even the start of this game last weekend, every game is start out with, we're going to try to get some balance and Najee Harris. It's over. Give it up. Najee's good, but it doesn't matter if you got Superman or Najee Harris or you bring back Bo Jackson or whoever. They're not going to be able to run for anything behind this offensive line to where I just feel like maybe they need to change the approach just to make, best of what they got here instead of trying to kind of put the round peg into the square hole and try to work it like that all the time right now.
And that's always the best coaching, taking the guys you have, do what they do well, don't do the things they don't do well. The problem, though, is then you become one-dimensional, become predictable, and there's a point where your guys just aren't good enough. And I thought, and I had too much faith in Mike Tomlin this year, I thought he would be able to take whatever he had, because we've seen this before from him.
Yeah, we have. Sure.
Whatever he has, he can whip it into something competitive. But obviously against the Buffalo Bills, 38-3 loss, the team's worst defeat since week 1 of the 1989 season. And I went down the YouTube rabbit hole on that game. I found that game, at least a shortened version of it. My gosh. With Joe Namath on the call alongside Tom Hammond for NBC.
It's amazing.
1989.
Wow.
The shoulder pads were gigantic.
Right.
The helmets,
the neck rolls,
prehistoric. They're so basic compared to the very complicated and convoluted helmets we now see.
Right.
The green carpet, rock hard AstroTurf, just amazing to go back and see that. But that day was 51-0, 33 years ago for the Steelers, and Sunday was the worst experience since then. Not that it's going to be 38-3 against the Bucs at home, but they're going to find themselves in another situation where they're down, and what are they going to do? Are they going to keep pushing? Are they going to keep pressing? I think Ryan Clark suggested maybe guys gave up on Sunday, then he tried to walk it back a little bit. But something happened there to get their doors blown off, and on top of everything else, you got to convince the guys there's hope. There's a reason to go out there and play your asses off. It's pride. It's whatever. They're not done yet.
No.
And this is the thing. Whenever you write them off is when they're dangerous, but it just feels like this year it's not going to matter.
Well, yes.
And maybe that plays into their hands, but it feels to me like it's not going to matter. Maybe they shock us this weekend.
I don't think it matters. I think your gut's right on this one. You know, the thing I come back to in the years where you talk about, right, when we've seen them in this situation, you know, again, in those years, they had somewhat of a semblance of a running game to where they could hang in there. But more importantly, Mike, to your point, in these years when they hung in, what was the one thing they always had? It was defense, right? There's roster problems across the board right now. You know, they've got some aging guys up front that are just not the same anymore, or not as dominant. It's coming to an end. First-round picks in Bush who didn't quite work out. Lost Bud Dupree in free agency. You know, so that's the other thing that you couple with this, the offensive issues. But the offense is being asked to play a game right now because the defense is so bad that then they have to kind of break out of their mold too. So I think this is a totality issue that we're talking about. Again, hey, Kenny Pickett, hey, you get to make your first start in Buffalo, and by the time you warm up, you'll be down 21-3 because Josh Allen's going to throw bombs and lasers, and you're going to blink and go, whoa, what happened to the game? Good, congratulations. And Matt Canada, congratulations to you. You got to make it happen, or we're all going to blame you. Again, that's what really happened. We're going to talk about that side of the ball when the defense just got absolutely obliterated. They had him pinned on the 2-yard line, 98-yard touchdown. So it's a lot of things there in Pittsburgh right now. And to your point, Mike, I don't think they can overcome it. Not this year.
They've got the Buccaneers, the Dolphins, and the Eagles. Now, the Dolphins don't seem to be the juggernaut that they were a couple of weeks ago, so maybe they can win one and go into the bye at 2-6. Even then, in the AFC North with the Bengals, the Browns, and the Ravens,
Finito.
Not going to be easy.
Finito.
Not going to be easy for the Steelers, and it's unfortunate in part because I picked them to win the division, but I'll try to talk about that as little as possible as the season continues to unfold. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.